We good?
Ready when you are, Coach.
I'd like to start off just thanking the game ops folks and how special it was, military appreciation game, and all the stuff that went into that tonight. It's a great shout out to our military, active and retired, and seeing them all there was special. I also want to give Coach Hennis and our women's cross country team a shout out for winning national championship. Pretty awesome for them to be able to do that. As far as the game goes, you know, it's pretty cool to be in a game where you score all three phases of the game, you know, to have a offense, obviously we're going to score, but defensive touchdown with Drake, a special teams touchdown, back-to-back games now for Bam. To see the Thomas brothers both score touchdowns was pretty cool in a game. So a lot of, you know, really good stuff. You know, I think defending them is a challenge with all the different run things they do. And, you know, my hat's off to Sean Tucker and Garrett Schrader. I think they're both good runners, tough kids. As far as our guys go, I thought, you know, first quarter, you know, we wanted to start fast and didn't. So that was disappointing defense. We did, you know, and then we settled in and then just started getting on a roll. I thought it was good to see our run game get better and improve. And even though the total yards, you know, weren't what we wanted, but there were some really positive runs. There were some time-consuming drives, which ended with points on the board. And so all those things together, you know, and offensively took care of the football with no turnovers. So a lot of things we wanted to do tonight, we're able to do. And a lot of guys playing, you know, with some pain out there and playing a physical game. So proud of our guys for that. Obviously now a chance to move forward and have a championship week. Senior day, play our rival, all those things. And, you know, we don't control obviously what happens with Wake Forest, but on our end, we have a chance to put ourselves in a position where if they lose and we win, we're in. So a lot to play for coming up and looking forward to that opportunity. And with that, I'll open it up.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Dave, you guys had, I think, 14 tackles for loss today. How important was the ability to get in and make plays with their backfield? And what do you think allowed you guys to do that today?
Well, it looked like, you know, the guys did a good job setting the line of scrimmage, shedding blocks and playing downhill, particularly in the first half. You know, I thought we were really, really good. We tackled well for the most part. You know, there's a couple schemes that they ran that we didn't practice that they put in that got outside of on the edge on us a couple times. And one turned into a big play for them. But overall, we were trying to get them behind the chains and seeing if they could throw the ball down the field to win, which we didn't think they could. And that proved to be right. So I thought it was a really good game plan. And there's a lot of adjusting going on. There's probably 25 unbalanced formations Syracuse was in that game. So a lot more of that than we expected.
Go ahead, David.
Do you have any concern going forward that teams are going to stop kicking the ball to Zonovan Knight?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. You know, I think some people trust their kicker to kick touchbacks and, you know, I guess you can start skying it. And if you do that, there's potential we can get returns to the field. You know, we've got Jordan Houston set up over there and we're not just going to fair catch the ball all night and let you do that. So something that they could do week to week. It just depends on the strength of the leg of the kicker. And we knew going into this game, you know, he was about 1 out of 3 for touchbacks. So we thought we would get, you know, 66% of the time a chance at a return. And I was happy to see the guys execute. And obviously it was a great run by Bam.
Go ahead, Jonas.
What you said, obviously you guys can only control what you can control moving forward. Before the game, did you guys realize what was happening with Simpson and Wake? Was that brought up like, hey, that part's done, and it helps us if we take care of business? Was that mentioned at all in the locker room before you guys came out?
I think our guys were watching that game. We were in pregame meal, and you could see everybody looking at their phone. So that was right when their game was going on. Obviously, we didn't see the second half because we were in warm-ups at that time. But our guys, I think, assumed that, and I'm sure they knew. Tried to keep more of our attention, Jonas, on the game we were playing than the one that was being played somewhere else. But I think our guys had a pretty good idea what was going to be the outcome of that game after they saw the first half. So, you know, again, it's we put ourselves in a position where we don't control the finish, unfortunately, last week, but we do control what happens if we can get a win here at home next week on senior day against our rival, and that's what we'll focus on. Obviously, we'll be Boston College fans this week, pulling for them too.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, Dave, you've talked all season about the maturity of this team. I'm sure that you are not surprised the way they bounced back from the disappointment last week, but what does it say about how they reacted and how they came out here tonight?
Well, they were disappointed, upset, Matt, all the above, losing last week's game. They knew that there were plays we left on the field. They also are, I think, a smart bunch of guys that know that Wake has to play back-to-back road games against two good teams. So we weren't out of it. This was just a matter of getting back to what we could control. That was winning out at home. One of our goals is to be undefeated in the Carter. And right now we're one game away from pulling that where we want it to be. And that means a lot to our team. I know this coming week's going to mean a ton to them with senior day. There's a bunch of really good guys on this football team that deserve to go out their last time at home winners. And that's going to be very meaningful for this team this week.
All right. Last question for Coach from Andrew.
Dave, you talked quite a bit about playing complementary football. It doesn't get much more than that second quarter with all three phases scoring a touchdown. How good was that to see, especially with, it kind of sparking you guys awake after a bit of a slow start?
Yeah, it was huge. I think that's what complementary football is. It's setting up either side of the ball. It's gaining momentum for either side of the ball, the special teams play. We've talked so much about it. The guys have embraced it. As one of the things in our leadership council meeting, Bryson Spees talked about, it's not just playing complementary football, but it's doing it at the right times and having sequential plays and drives off of each other and feeding each other. And that quarter was as good as it could be.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Drake Thomas is joining us now. Annabelle sent me this note. It's the first time brothers have scored for NC State football in the same game since 1975, Dave and Don Bucky. So there you go. All right, Jonas, go ahead with your question.
Drake, you look like your old high school running back days with the interception. You took it to the end zone. What do you see when they play like you threw it right to you? How did that play kind of spark the entire defense for the rest of the game?
It was definitely a momentum thing. We needed to play on defense to get some points on the board. So it's definitely helpful and, helped us gain some momentum.
Go ahead, David.
Hey, Drake, after Thayer scored, did he come up to you afterward and say like, hey, I needed to get a touchdown too? Or did you guys have any kind of conversation?
No, we didn't say anything. We'll probably talk to him later about it.
Do you feel like now you can say that you guys are the best brother tandem of all time in NC State now that you've, both scored on the same game?
I don't know. I got to look at, I don't really know all the brothers necessarily. I know the Holt brothers were pretty good. So.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, Thayer, you heard the stat the first time since 1975. Does that mean anything to you? And I mean, what's your emotions about, you and your brother kind of, making history tonight?
I mean, it's obviously really exciting anytime you, I guess not necessarily set a record, but make history, like you said. Just thinking about where me and my older brother have came from, all the way up, and this is a dream come true. And be able to make plays like that on a big stage is just a great feeling.
Go ahead, Corey.
Drake, you guys as a defense tonight finished with 14 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. I mean, how important was it for you guys to get into that backfield and try to rattle both of them, both of their players as far as the quarterback and running back in terms of trying to run the ball?
Yeah, it was really important that we wanted to get into the backfield and make plays. Obviously, they have 2 really good runners back there that, pose a threat to us. So we just wanted to be disruptive as possible in, the run game and the pass game.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Great, Coach Doeren said during the pregame meal, a lot of guys were watching their phones, kind of checking out how the Clemson and Wake Forest game started. Obviously, you guys needed Clemson to win to kind of keep your hopes alive. Once you saw the start of that game, how much did that kind of push you guys and motivate you guys? Like, okay, Clemson's done their part. Now we do our part. We're still in the fight.
Honestly, I wasn't really keeping up with it. I know other guys were, but I'm gonna take the same approach every game. Some guys were watching it, wanted to know what was happening, but I didn't really care because I just wanted to take, the same approach no matter what the circumstance was.
All right. Last question from Corey.
Drake, obviously, Friday's game, you guys never lack any sort of motivation playing against UNC, but how much more motivated are you guys now with the scenario that you have at this point?
Like I said, my approach is stayed the same, maintained throughout the whole year. It's the same every single week. I'm going to work every single day, trying to get better, execute the game plan and do what the coach is asking me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Devin Leary is going to join us now, guys. If you want to start raising your hands, questions for Devin. Go ahead, David.
Devin, I got to ask about that. I think it was a 13-yard run that you got for first down and you slid, and it looked like something you maybe hadn't done in a while. Do you practice your slide, or is it something that it looked a little awkward? I got to be honest.
Yeah, my slides aren't that good. I got to work on it. Guys are like Ben Finley, who was making jokes on the sideline, like, we got to start practicing that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, coach said you were aware of the Wake Forest game before you came out to play tonight. How much did that kind of add to the motivation, or was there already enough motivation to bounce back after last week's disappointment?
Yeah, I think there's always, the motivation to bounce back is always the priority. Obviously, Wake Forest and the rest of their schedule, it's at stake for depending on where we will end up. So obviously, I would like to follow it. I like to see, where we could potentially land. But coming off a loss and being able to respond the right way has always been a priority for me.
Go ahead, Luke.
Devin, at the end of the second quarter there, you guys had some trouble getting traction on offense, but it seemed like everything just started to click at once. And obviously you got the touchdowns on defense and special teams too. But what happened on offense? What were you guys able to get working there that you hadn't been to that point?
Yeah, man, I just think it's really just getting into rhythm. We practice. Syracuse does a whole bunch of different looks on defense. They do a whole bunch of different coverages and pressures. And, we try to practice as many possible throughout the week. And, when it comes to the game, they're always going to throw a different curveball. And that's kind of what they did. So, being able to get back into the sideline and make our adjustments the right way kind of helped us respond better.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Devin, when we were out there running around against pressure and making those off-platform throws, how much does it help you to know that you've got guys that you can trust to go up and get it, and guys like Thayer and Devin Carter when you give them a chance?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Just being able to put the ball in their vicinity, it gives them a shot. And it's my job to give those guys a shot. And, anytime that we can put the ball around their area, those guys do a great job of coming down with it majority of the time.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Devin, against this defense, it was pretty important to get some traction on the ground. How big was it to see Bam and Ricky break out some big runs, especially see Ricky get back in the end zone? How much they helped you out today getting some ground game going?
Yeah, it was huge. We knew coming into the game we were going to have to establish the run before we took some shots, and I think that's exactly what we did. Credit to our offensive line, our tight ends, even receivers too, being able to block in the box. They did a tremendous job, and then obviously just handing the ball off to guys like Ricky and Zonovan just makes our job that much easier.
All right, and then the last question from Corey.
Devin, looking over the last 5 games, you've thrown for over 300 yards in every single one of them. Obviously, the importance of the passing game has kind of ratcheted up over the last few games, but how comfortable do you feel in when you need to pass, being able to put the team on your shoulders?
Yeah, extremely. I feel very comfortable with whatever the coaches asked me to do, whether it's being able to run the ball, being able to pass the ball, being able to hit different screens. Really anything that they asked me to do. I prepare as best as I can each and every week to make sure that I am comfortable. So anything that they need me to do, I'm extremely comfortable with.
Thanks, Devin.
Thank you.
All right, guys, Bam Knight is going to join us now. If you guys want to raise your hands, questions for Bam. Jonas, go ahead.
Hey, Bam, after what you did last week, were you surprised they were actually kicking it to you early in the quarter? Were you think like, did y'all not watch the film from the Wake Forest game? They actually kicking me the ball. Like, were you kind of surprised that you got some kicks in action this week?
To be honest, yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like we had put in like a whole game plan in case they cross kicked it to the off return to Jordan. So I was surprised they kept kicking it to me over and over again.
And back-to-back kickoff returns and back-to-back games. Like, what do you? That's all vision, the speed, is blocking. But what's kind of working for you? How you get into your groove in that part of the game these last couple of weeks?
I honestly don't know. It's just like as we go, just kind of read it out. Like things are just kind of unfolding, and now my vision is just kind of working, and I'm just happening to go the right direction. It's not something that I'm seeing that's open as I'm running. It's just something like a natural reaction. It's just working out for the best of me right now.
Corey, go ahead.
So Bam, that rushing touchdown by Ricky to open the scoring in the second quarter was the first rushing touchdown by an NC State running back in ACC play so far this year. You know, how important was that for you guys in terms of getting confidence and kind of getting back to what you want to be able to do in the ground game?
Yeah, I think it was very important because like even me and Ricky, we had a conversation earlier. It was like we gotta get in the box. We haven't scored since La Tech, so it was just something we took a big emphasis in doing today, and luckily Rick was able to get in there, so it kind of ended that drop for us.
And is there something different for you guys about running at home? Because I mean, all 8 of your rushing touchdowns so far this year between the two of you have been scored at NC or at Carter Finley.
I wouldn't say it's different. I'd say the fan base really, honestly, just adds more motivation. The atmosphere, the energy coming from the crowd, just it makes you more motivated and more determined to get in there.
Appreciate it.
David, go ahead.
You know, regardless of what happens in the coming week, what does it mean just to be going into the UNC game knowing that an ACC divisional title is still up for grabs?
For us as players, I don't think we kind of are thinking of it as that. You know, we're just taking it week by week, and however it works out, it works out. So we're just taking it with the same mindset we took early in the season, and as we're taking now, just week by week.
Playing this game the day after Thanksgiving, do you eat less on Thanksgiving than you normally would?
That's a good question. I think since we're going to be in the team hotel Thursday, we're actually going to kind of do a team dinner Wednesday, just to kind of give it time for stuff to get out of our system. So I think by game time, our systems will be going clear. Everybody will be hydrated, so we should not have any issues.
Smart. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Last question for Bam will come from Rob.
Yeah, Bam. When you went to NC State, you played a lot of big games these last few weeks. You said you take them one at a time, but how neat is it to be playing in these big games? I'd imagine that was why you chose to go to North Carolina State.
Mm-hmm. It's very unique. It's kind of why I made a decision to decommit from Duke and come here. And luckily it's worked out for the best. But, you know, something about coming out here Saturday nights and just going to war with my O-line, quarterbacks, wide receiver, just putting it all on line for them. It just a different type of feeling. And I'm just glad the guy led me in the right direction and kind of led me here to NC State.
How do you detach? You said you take them one at a time. How do you detach and take them that simply when it's such a big game?
It's just a mindset you have to have. You can't look too far into the future. Like this week, we were worried about what next week was going to bring just for ACC championship's sake. Then that would have kind of just made us perform less efficient tonight. So you just have to focus on that night, focus on that game plan, and just kind of keep pushing throughout. And then as the next week comes, you kind of move on to them, let the past be the past, and let the present be in the present. So it's just live in the moment and go from there.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, ma'am. All right, guys, last player will be Thayer Thomas. Go ahead, Jonas.
Thayer, do you remember the last time you and Drake both scored in the same game? Was it back at Heritage or even before then, maybe?
I think it was my senior year. I want to say, I think it was against Broughton my senior year. So just down the road, it's pretty cool. I don't know if it was a defensive touchdown for him, but I definitely scored a receiving touchdown. And he definitely scored. He might have been playing running back at the time, but as you saw tonight, he's good with the ball in his hands too. So I'm definitely used to seeing that on the field. But yeah, just a special moment and a great team win to cap that off.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Thayer, what does it mean to you for Devin to have the trust in you to, take those shots down the field to you and trust you to just go up and make the catch, especially when he's throwing on the run and against pressure?
I mean, I think he has the trust in all the receivers. As you see, like each week, it's like a different guy steps up and makes the plays that Devin just throws when he throws the ball down the field. I just think that speaks for itself. We have a really talented room and the tight ends as well. Like Devin trusts them as well. So I think, Devin as a whole just trusts, who he's throwing the ball to because we do it every day in practice. It's just repetition, and we build that trust in the offseason. And I think he does a good job of just trusting us and giving us a chance.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, Thayer, I don't know if you heard or not because your brother was on when they announced it, but you're the first brothers at NC State to score touchdowns in the same game since the Bucky twins in 1975. What does that mean to you? I mean, it's got to be, something pretty satisfying for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is why we sort of decided to do this, right? We decided to come play football here. I made my decision first, and then obviously he wanted to join. And this is just, that shows, maybe other brothers later down the line, stay home and play in your hometown. It's a special moment. I was wishing that Lex would be coming here next year. That would be definitely cool. But but it's a special moment. I shared it with him on the sideline. It was pretty cool. Definitely be etched in NC State history for sure.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, according to Max Preps, Broughton was the last game you guys scored in the same game in 2016. So I guess my question, when you see your brother do something like that on the sideline, is it akin to seeing any old defensive player score, or is it different? How do you feel on the sidelines knowing your blood is doing something so special?
I mean, I'm used to it at this point. He's definitely should be in the running for defensive player of the year, in my opinion. He's just that, type of special player. I tend to, usually the receiver coach Joker wants us to sit around and just talk about what's going on. But I'm always finding myself creeping up to the field, watch him play defense just because it's so fun to watch him play. But yeah, it's definitely special, and he's a heck of a player, and he deserves everything that's coming his way.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else for Thayer? All right, David, go ahead.
Just because I asked Bam a little bit about Thanksgiving. I know Wednesday you guys are going to meet as a team. I guess what are you kind of thankful for with this team and this season and what you guys have been through?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful that we still, have a chance to play for an ACC championship. That's the first thing. And just also thankful for the brotherhood that we all have. Like, this is similar to when I first got here with the older guys, how close they were, but being an older guy now and just sort of being like a leader in the room and on the team, and then just sort of leading the offense while my brother is sort of a leader on the defense. It's, just thankful for that. Thankful that I get to play in my hometown. And it's, this has been a special season, and it's not anywhere from being close to over. So we have a lot left in the tank. And I think it's just Wolfpack Nation, you get ready. We're going to have a good run at the end of this thing. So
Thanks, Thayer.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. One update from the note about the brothers. It was the 75 season, both scored. They're checking now to see if it was in the same game. So it's the first time brothers have scored in the same season since the 1975 season, and Annabelle and Brian are checking to see if it's going to be the first time in the same game.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know. I wordsmithed that really wrong. I'm reading Annabelle's text, but I'm trying. All right, guys. I think that's it. If you guys need anything, contact Brian and Annabelle.
I appreciate it.